When you finish watching this video from start to finish, I want you to feel like you left with hours of information of a makeup masterclass. I'm gonna do this tutorial of this look as I talk you through specifically each step, why I do what I do, and give you lots of tips and hacks throughout this video, but it's not gonna be boring, it's gonna be fun. So grab some coffee, get your makeup goodies. We're gonna do this look together as we learn lots of makeup tips and tricks. You guys like my little jinky hairpin going on right here? All right, let's talk about skin prep. So you want to, before you even start your makeup, you're gonna look at yourself in the mirror and you're gonna evaluate your skin. A lot of people skip this step. They just start slapping on foundation, calling it a day. For me, I get a bit oily on my forehead. You can see some shine going on right here and right here, but the rest of my face can actually be really dry. So I customize my prep depending on the needs I have for my skin. If you're super, super oily, what you can do is take a tissue and just divide it in half so it's one ply. And you're gonna pat any excess oil because this will break down your foundation. So make sure that you don't have excess oil. If you know that you're super oily, it's hot, it's humid, it's summer, you can even use powder as a prep. So what I like to do is just take a sponge. This is the new Maybelline Superstay one, which I don't like on my 40-year-old skin, but on top of foundation or as a primer, it actually works good. I just don't like it on its own. But what you can do is you can tap it on any spots that you're oily and then put your foundation on top. It's not gonna make it look cakey if you only put a little bit. Another option you can do if you're oily skin is just use a mattifying primer. There's a ton of brands that have them. I like the Maybelline Master Blur Stick. I think this one is really good. If you have dry skin, depending on how dry, if it's like parched in the desert, snake skin dry, you're gonna use oil, any sort of facial oil. I like the Elemis one. I think that's really good. Or you can use a silicone-based primer. There's a ton of them out there, you all. Just look for something that says dimethicone, something ending in cone. That is usually dimethicone, which is a silicone that's in a primer that gives it a slippery feeling. It's gonna set a layer between your skin and your foundation that's gonna make the pores look smooth. It's gonna hold in moisture on your skin. It's gonna help the foundation sit on there really nicely. The one I really like right now is the Lancome one, La Base Pro. So I'm gonna apply that. And I just use my foundation brush. So I'm using the Anissa foundation brush. I put one pump on there and I dropped it on my boobies. Well, the boobies are primed. Let's try that again. Pump. And I'm gonna buff it into the skin like this, around the edges of my face, because I tend to get a little bit dry in here. I'll put just a little bit on the outer corner of my forehead, and then under my eyes tends to get a little bit dry too. But then on the center of my face is where I can use the Master Stick, the pore minimizing one, and I literally just put it on. You can do powder like I showed you, something like that, okay? So I've analyzed the skin, I prepped it. If you guys have dry patches on your skin too, make sure you're exfoliating 1 or 2 times a week gently. I like the Dermalogica one. I'll list all of the product recommendations that I love below. Not sponsored, I purchased it with my own money. Okay, let's get into concealing. So I have dark circles. I know it's hard to tell on camera because I have bright lights in here to show the true colors, but I have some discoloration. So I'm gonna use a color corrector in peach. If you have deeper skin, you're gonna go with an orange. So I'm gonna use the Anissa concealer brush. Once I blend it out, and make sure you're getting in here too, because that gets a little bit dark. So don't forget that spot. Blend it out. I like this one because once you blend it out, it stays put. So when I put my foundation on top, it's not gonna get rid of that color corrector. It's gonna stay on there really well. Now it's time to apply foundation. I have some options for each skin type. If you have dry skin, you want to choose a dewy formula. That's gonna add glowiness, luminosity to the skin. I really like the NARS Sheer Glow. That's my favorite one. If you have oily skin and you want a matte finish foundation, this one's medium to full coverage. It's the Milani Conceal and Perfect. Another great one I have is the Estee Lauder Double Wear. This is a classic, great formula, gives a nice finish. It's not too thick or cakey. If you have combination skin, you're gonna choose a satin finish. So we have 3 finishes. We have dewy, satin, or natural. What they say in Sephora, it says natural skin finish or matte. There's your 3 options. If you have dry, go for dewy. Combination skin, go for satin or natural. If you have oily skin, getting matte finish one. For combination, I love love Armani Luminous Silk. I think that's beautiful. And then if you're really, really oily and you don't want to wear a liquid and you want a powder, I like the Fenty Beauty one. It gives a beautiful finish to the skin. It's not thick and cakey. Comes in a ton of different colors. I'm gonna use the NARS Shoe Glow because that's my jam right now. It's my favorite. Been talking about it for a while. I like to use a brush for this foundation because it has thin viscosity. So viscosity is the word we use in cosmetic formulation that tells how thick or thin a formula is. If it's thin formula, like when you put it on and it feels like it's dripping down your face and it's really thin, use a brush. If you use a beauty blender, you all, it's gonna soak into there and it's gonna give you a sheer application and you're gonna waste foundation. So sometimes when people say they don't like a foundation, try a different method, a brush or a sponge or your fingers to see if that's the problem and not the foundation itself. So I'm gonna use a brush. This is the Anissa foundation brush. I like it because it has a triangle shape so it can get under my eyes. And I'm going to buff it into the skin like this. This gives me such a beautiful finish to the skin. It's medium coverage, so I can always add more if I need it, but it's not so full coverage to where it looks unnatural. It just looks like skin. Like really smooth, flawless skin. Do you see how that looks? Like it's hiding everything, but it looks like skin. Make sure you guys get the eyelids too, because that's gonna help prep the eyes for eyeshadow later. Now, another thing a lot of people don't talk about is you want to come down the neck a little bit. Don't worry if you have light colored clothes on like I do. I'm gonna show you how to fix that too. So I come down here because it's really rare that your face and your neck are gonna match. So I always, always, always come down the neck. And then when I'm on camera, let me zoom out so you guys can see. I have discoloration on my chest from being stupid as a teenager sitting out in the sun. So anyone who's young out there, take my advice, don't sit out in the sun because you'll get little freckles like this here and sun damage when you're in your 40s like me. Don't do it. So I like to cover this a little bit too so it kind of matches the flawless look on my face so it feels like it's connected, if that makes sense. So let me move my necklace. So I feel like I'm stripping for you guys here. I take one pump and I just do a very light airbrush finish on here. And this is really good if you're on camera, if you're gonna get photos taken, anything like that. You don't have to necessarily do this for every day if you want. I mean, I do because I like it all to match. But do you see how it just smooths it out and makes it match my face? Now, before I go on and do the rest of my face, because I have a light top on and I don't want it to get dirty, I'm gonna set just the chest really quick. And I use the Melanie Mills Hollywood spray. It's really, really good. The One Size Beauty one is pretty good too, but I'm just gonna set this, let it air out a little bit so that way it doesn't get my clothes dirty, and it's gonna make this last all day. But don't spray the face yet, we got more stuff to do. Now the concealer to brighten and all of that and cover a few more spots, I actually do after I apply my powder, and I'll explain in a minute why. So I'm gonna do powder first. I'm using the Fenty one in a flat sponge. You get these on Amazon, super cheap. I'll link to it below. This is the color 185, and I pick up just the slightest bit. We're only gonna apply this where you're oily. If you apply it all over your face, you're gonna look cakey. It's gonna be too much coverage, it's too thick. It's not on trend right now where it's meant to be dewy and skin looking. So I'm just going to tap it in here under the eyes because I need to set that so it doesn't crease, and the eyelids so that my eyeshadow blends more easily. A little bit on the chin because I get oily there, the nose, and then a touch on the center of the forehead. Now, because my face is all one color, I don't have any dimension in, so I'm gonna bronze contour a little bit. I'm gonna use the Fenty Matchstick in the color Mocha and the Real Techniques brush like this, and I'm gonna pick up product from here. I'm gonna almost contour with this under the cheekbone. So what I like to do is feel where that cheekbone is at, and I'm gonna place it right there, like that. If you come in, it's gonna look a little bit harsh. We want this to be kind of light. I'm gonna stop right there, and we're gonna blend it up like this. If you blend down, you're getting a beard. We don't want a beard. If you feel it's too harsh, you all, you can go back in with that foundation brush and kind of stipple it a little bit just to calm it down. You can go back in, add a little bit more color. It's all about blending a bit. But do you see how I'm doing strokes like this to blend it up? And if you need to buff it in some more, you can take a towel and kind of wipe off any product, and then you can start kind of blending it in to buff out any harsh lines like that. You see? I'm gonna do the forehead too, just because my forehead's a little bit tall. If yours is a shorter forehead, skip this step. Now, a lot of people ask me about the color that you're gonna choose. You want something that's 3 to 4 shades darker than your skin in the same tone. So if you have cool skin, you're gonna use contour colors. If you have warm skin, you have lots of golden, yellow, red in your skin, you're actually gonna go for a bronzer. Those tend to be a little bit warmer, but you want the tone of your contour or bronzer to match your undertone. I have a video, I'll link it right here, you guys, that talks about how to find your undertone. So I'm just adding dimension back on the forehead. And again, if you have harsh lines, kind of blend it out with that foundation brush like that. Now here is where it gets really fun. I got a little chin fluff going on here. So this I'm actually gonna carve. So I'm gonna take that stick and I'm gonna carve that bad boy out. Do you see how that's gonna chisel that jawline? So I'm gonna take that same brush, we're gonna buff it out under here because I obviously don't wanna look like I have a brown streak going on under there. Trust the process, trust the process. And I like to bring it down the sides of the neck just a little bit. It's gonna make my neck look a little bit more narrow. So I take what's left and kind of come down the sides over here. Now we can apply our blush. If you have oily skin, I would say go with a powder blush because if you add dewiness and your skin is oily, it's gonna look greasy. But if you have dry skin, then I would say you could go for a cream. So it's totally up to you what type of formula that you like. I'm gonna use the Patrick Ta one in a bright pink. It's called She's a Doll. Let me show you both application methods. So brush. I like something that is tapered like this and is fluffy. Do you see how when I bend the brush, I can bend it back pretty far? That means it's gonna be very light. It's gonna give me a light application. If I'm gonna use something like what I used with the bronzer, do you see how it's hard to bend because it's so dense? That's gonna pack on color. We don't want that for blush. We want blush to be very kind of sheer, natural wash of color. So brush does matter. Pick up some of it on the side. On this side, we're gonna tap it on top of the cheekbones like that. I like to come up a bit high up here to kind of lift the face. Just like that. And I'll show you in a second why I'm gonna apply my concealer last. Okay. Do you see how pretty that is? If you want a blush that really blends into the skin, is very subtle and natural, again, choose something that's in your undertone. If you have warm skin, go for a peachy coral blush. Let me find you an example. I know this is a Makeup Geek one, but this is Bliss. I have Sweetness, something coral peachy. If you have cool tone skin, then you can go for the pinks. Now I have neutral, so I can wear kind of either or, but I want my blush to pop. So that's why I'm wearing pink, is because it's gonna be a contrast to my undertone and it's gonna stand out. But if you want it to be very melted into the skin, same undertone as what you have. On this side, let's do a cream. I like to apply it with my fingers. Everyone has a different method, but I feel like fingers has more control, and you're just gonna tap it like this. Don't swipe it, it's gonna pick up that foundation and powder. We're just gonna tap it like that. Do you see how it gives a beautiful glow to the skin? So you can do one or the other, or you can even layer it on top. Like I can put some of this on top and make that look a lot more dewy. And again, you all, if your blush is too bright and you need to calm it down, same thing, foundation brush, don't put any foundation on it, just leave it dry, whatever's left on there, tap it on top, and that will kind of calm it down and make it not as bright. Now I'm going to do my concealer to brighten, lift, add highlighting dimension to my face. So we contoured, so we added darkness. Now I'm gonna highlight some areas. I'm actually gonna use a foundation as concealer because this is so pigmented and it has a lot of oil in it, so it glides really well because I have dry skin. So I'm going to take that same concealer brush and I pick up some on the edge of that wand and I scrape it so there's very little on that brush. Now what I do is I'm going to put it here under the eyes, and I want to go one shade lighter than my foundation, and I'm going to bring it out here. That's going to lift that, and I create kind of a V shape here. If you want to carve out your skin here too a little bit, you can. I'm going to blend it with the foundation brush, and that can give me that really chiseled look if you want that. If you don't like the chiseled look, then skip that step. You can kind of blend it back in. And then I like to come down the bridge of the nose a little bit. You guys can contour your nose too. I don't usually contour mine. And I put a little bit here under the chin to kind of brighten it, and a little bit on the forehead. The reason I do this last is sometimes with powder, it can look not like skin. And when I put this concealer on top, because it's so pigmented and lightweight, it glides really well on powder. That's why I like this one a lot, is now it starts to look like skin. Do you see how it doesn't look cakey? It doesn't look thick or anything like that, because on top, what you're seeing is liquid and not powder. But this only works if it's a very hydrating concealer. If you guys use a super matte concealer like Shape Tape, don't do this technique with Shape Tape. You will hate it. You will send me hate emails. I see you guys right now on your computer like, this bitch told me to do this. This bitch here told me to do this technique. It looks like crap. No, no, no. It has to be very, very hydrating. That's why I like this one so much. But again, that's my preference on that. But do you see how it highlighted the face? Look how the center of my face is like highlighted and glowing. I've got some dimension back into the skin so it's not one color. Okay, before I do the eyes, I like to put hydration on my lips so that way when I do my lipstick next, it's all hydrated, it's not dry at all. I'm using the Laneige Sleeping Care Mask and I'm just gonna put this on and let it sit while we do our eyes. Okay, now let's do the eyes. So I'm gonna fill in the brows. I filled them in a little bit earlier, but I use the Senna Cosmetics Precision Brow. It is so good, you all. You can get it on Amazon. So I fill them in lightly. And another great option if you really want that on-trend kind of, you know, separated brow, stroke mark brows where it looks like hair strokes. The one that I like is the NYX Lift and Snatch. And you can literally just do strokes. Let me show you. Like that. And you're just gonna mimic hair strokes by doing these little strokes to fill in any little baldy spots. Like I got a little baldy spot right here. Let's fill that in. Just go gentle with it because you don't want it to look like tattooed brows. You want it to look like hair strokes. And then I'm gonna comb the brows up. I'm gonna use the Bay Brow. And I get these disposable spoolies online. Most makeup artist stores have them too. I just get them on Amazon and I bend it like that. And then I pick up a little bit and I'm just gonna brush them up. If you feel that they're a little long, I don't know if you guys can see it on camera because the light's kind of strong, I trim them a little bit because I'm not about to be having little spiky brows. If that's what you guys want, that's cool too, but I just want them up. I don't want them super spiky personally. I just want them laminated, but not like, okay. Now let's talk about blending your eyeshadow like a pro. You want to make sure that you have that powder down. So if you didn't tap that powder on your face, just going back in with your face powder, you can take any sort of soft dome brush and just dust it on there. You want a powder base so that your eyeshadows blend more smoothly. If it's wet or sticky and you go to blend, it's going to look patchy because it's sticking to oil on your skin. So make sure you have a layer of powder down here, just a light one. I'm just going to do an easy daytime look, you guys, and then for a more advanced look, I can always do some more tutorials. I'm going to define the crease. This works great if you have hooded eyes, where this part kind of comes down and covers part of the lid, because when you put a medium to dark color in the crease and you leave the lid light, it's going to bring it out. It's going to draw attention to your eyes, which is what we want. So I know I'm using Makeup Geek Shadow, you guys. I'll show you the colors so you can find something in your collection, but I like the formula, so that's what I'm using. Okay, do you see how there's different tones? These are cool browns. If you have cool skin and you want it to look very soft and natural, again, choose something that's in your undertone. I'm neutral, so I can lean either way, but I tend to like the warm colors. For me, it just works with my skin. So I'm going with this row. Now I'm gonna go with something this color that's just a little bit darker than my natural skin color. So this is Honey Badger, I think. And I'm using a soft dome brush like this, because I want just a slight application of color. And I'm going to go back and forth like a windshield wiper motion and blend it up like that. Look at this side compared to this side. This is already making my lid look bigger and my eyes bigger. You can go in with a smaller brush now. This guy here, we can do the same thing under the lower lash line, because that, anytime you add a little shadow under here, it's gonna make your eyes look bigger too. I know it sounds contradictory, but I swear it works. Same color, and swipe it under here. And depending on what kind of look you're going for, you can get kind of messy under here. We can always clean it up if we need to, like that. If you want a very seamless transition between here and the brow, I'm gonna go in with a little bit lighter color. So for me, I'm gonna go Upper Row to Creme Brulee. It's the same tone. And this works, you guys, for different colors. You can mix colors. You can put this in the crease, then go with something lighter and warmer. The idea is just medium and light. And I'm gonna blend this right up here and up to the brow bone. Do you see how that's softening that color? This is just daytime appropriate, nothing too harsh, just very well blended and feathery. And look at that, blended. Now, one thing I want to show you about brushes, you all, is if you want a very soft, light application, you want to go for a brush that is soft. You see again, when you bend it back like this, you see how much bend that has? And when I put my finger over it, it's very fluffy and it's not too dense. But look at this brush here, it's smaller and it's more dense. Do you see how I'm pushing on it? It's not bending as much because it's more dense. The smaller and the denser brush, the stronger the application of color. The larger and more soft and fluffy the brush is, the lighter application of color that you're going to pack down. So I'm gonna go in now with another kind of dome brush. This has a lot of bend to it too, so it's not too dense, but it's pointed enough to where I can get here in the crease. This is a Hakohodu brush, 5529. I want to define the crease a little bit more in here. So I'm gonna go down one more row to the next color down. So now I'm getting into like a medium dark shade. If you have darker skin, you all, you're gonna start in here and then go down here. But because I'm lighter, I'm kind of going up with these lighter shades like that. So I'm going with Cheetah Bear. I want to define the crease a little bit more. So I'm gonna look straight ahead. I'm gonna apply it right here above the crease. Now give me a minute, I'm gonna blend this out. Same thing, windshield wiper motions, and then start to blend it up like that. You can go in with that bigger brush that we used earlier and the same color up here, this Honey Badger. You can go back over it to try to blend out that harsh line. So I can go like this. Do you see how it's toning it down? Kind of blending it out a little bit. Okay, now let's talk about how to blend on the outer corner. Now you guys could go from here and you could put some shimmer on the lid and this would be beautiful for hooded eyes. If you want a gradiated effect where it's a little bit darker out here and it kind of fades in, I think that eyeshadow placement works on so many eye shapes and ages. That's why I do that technique a lot, is because it just works for so many people. So I'm gonna go in now with the darkest color, the warm dark brown. I'm going in with that smaller brush that I did that crease earlier. So I start here, I call this the outer V, where it's like this. I'm gonna come here on the outer part of the eye and put that color right there. Do you see that? Now we're gonna blend it in sideways. So I'm gonna pick what's left on the brush and I'm gonna go like this. Hold on, I gotta pull my eyes, you guys. My eyes are loose now that I'm getting older. Okay, so sideways motion to blend that color in and feather it so that it's dark out here and then it fades as it's coming in. Do you see the motion I'm doing? I cut a line and then I take what's left and I go sweep, 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 sweep inwards. Like you're sweeping the floor, which I hate to do. I hate it so much.
We all do.
Hate sweeping, you all. I will pull out that vacuum. I'll start vacuuming before I sweep. Okay, do you see that? Now, if you feel that there's a harsh line here and you really want this to be softly blended, you can go back in with a lighter color like this guy here or even this one, and you can put it right next to it and sweep it sideways like this. And it's gonna soften every harsh line here. This is just great for every day because everything's soft, it's well blended, there's no harsh lines, it's just soft and natural. Now, if you want to stop here, just add a little liner mascara. This is a great everyday look. If you want to bump it up for nighttime or you like some shimmer, shimmers are amazing because they hide all sin. So if you feel like your blending is still not great, slap some shimmer on top. It'll hide all of that. I like to switch to a flat brush like this. This is a great brush for packing on color on the lid. I don't like to use rounded brushes. You can dust it on here, but if you really want to pack on, especially a metallic or shimmer, I like a flat brush and I do this patting motion. So I'm gonna use a foiled shadow. It's to make a peek in the spotlight. You guys, anything that's metallic that you like. I know I'm using shadows that aren't around anymore, but I like this formula. Okay, so I'm going to pat it like this. And I'm gonna come bring it over the shadow out here, but I'm not gonna cover it. But do you see how it blurred out the lines in there? If you need to come back in and kind of touch up that color, you can, like that. But look at that. That's a beautiful, simple, everyday eye look. Little glamorous, but if you want it to be toned down, just skip the shimmer. Now let's do eyeliner. If you have hooded lids, I would say don't apply a liner here. It's gonna make it look heavy. I would do tight lining instead, which I'll show in a second. But if you feel like you want to darken that lash line, you can take a liquid liner. I like this Valentino one. I think it's great. I have a trick for you. Hold on. So I'm going to start at the halfway point and I'm just going to line the lashes like that, staying close to the lash line. If you want a little baby wing, you can kind of pull the skin just slightly, do a line, pretend like your lower lash line is coming out. That's your guide. And then just connect it. You're going to create basically a little triangle You're gonna create a little triangle like that. Now, a lot of people like that foxy eyes look where you bring the liner down. I don't like using the same liner because it can look really heavy to have black coming in, and not everyone can pull it off. And now that I'm in my 40s, I have to be really careful about anything dark in here under the eyes because it can make me look really tired. So then I switched to a brow pen in a dark brown color. It's gonna look like it's the same eyeliner, but it's gonna be less harsh. So this is the color Espresso. And the thing with brow pens too, you guys, is it doesn't deposit more color. It deposits less because it's meant to give you very fine strokes. So that's why I like using brow pens for the inner corner. So I'm gonna come in here at the inner tear duct and connect it to the liner that I just put down. Look, it looks like the same liner, but it's not. It's less harsh and it's a little bit more of a fine line. Now, if you have hooded eyes or you don't want to do winged liner, but you still want to darken your lash line, we're going to do tight lining. So you're going to take an eyeliner pencil, black one, and a black gel liner. We're going to just use this as a tool to dip it in because it glides a lot better. Pull up your lashes and you're going to run it up here. And what that's gonna do is darken that lash line. I don't know if you can see a slight difference between this side and this side. You'll definitely notice if you don't have a liquid liner on, but it darkens the lashes in a more natural way. Now I have some tricks to make your lashes look thicker. Curl your lashes, number one. I think for a while people skipped curling your lashes, but I swear it makes such a huge difference in lifting your lashes and opening the eyes. So I put it at the base and I hold it, then bring it up here at the top of the lashes and hold it, let go, and automatically that lifts the lashes a bit. So let me show you some tricks for applying your mascara. I'm gonna use the Makeup Geek one just because I love it, but some other ones that I really like are the L'Oreal Voluminous, I think is really good. I like the Dior Show. You guys all know what mascara is your personal favorite. Use that. Okay, put it at the base of the lash. Don't start at the top, start right at the base. Swiggle, sweep, swiggle, sweep. You want most of the product to be down at the lash line base because if you put too much product at the tip of the lashes, it's gonna weigh it down. It's gonna make them look clumpy. You really want it to feather up as it goes to the tip of the lash. So I'm gonna put one coat of this on there and then I'll show you my trick. So here's the wand of the Makeup Geek one. It's a spoolie one. Now I'm gonna switch to the Lancome Idol. And this is a plastic wand. This is gonna deposit a lot of product. I don't start with this because my lashes are thin. It's gonna put a lot of product on there. It's gonna make them look thin and not fluffy and thick. So I start with the Makeup Geek one and then I put, or one of the others I mentioned, I put this down at the base of the lash and I just do a little bit of coat of that and it's gonna really darken the lashes and add another layer of black. Do you see how that looks almost like I have false lashes on because they're just so thick looking? When you do the bottom, I look down so I don't get it on my cheeks like that. Okay, so now we can do the lips. I'm gonna wipe off this lip color. So we're gonna line the lips with the brown lip liner. I'm gonna do like that 90s nude lip that's on trend right now. Now, if you are in your 40s like me, you have to line the lips because we lose, do you see how I lost pigmentation in my lips and some definition? So adding a lip liner helps. This is Matte Cork. It's a great brown color. It's pretty easy. You're just pretty much gonna line your lips. Now lip color, I'm gonna use Creme de Nude, even though as we get older, you wanna make sure you pick nude lipsticks that have a little bit of color to it. So let me show you some swatches. This is Creme de Nude. Do you see how it has a little bit of peach in there? I don't wanna go with something like Blankety that is straight up like concealer nude lips. If you're younger, you could probably pull it off a little bit, but as we get older, we lose natural pigmentation. A concealer lip makes us look like death, you guys. Like we need resuscitation. So find something that has a little bit of a peach undertone. Another one I really like is Chanel number 402. This has kind of a pink undertone to it. It gives you the vibe of nude without it being straight up like beige nude. Another, let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna do Creme de Nude. And because this is a little bit harsh, now I'm gonna go back in with that lip liner and I'm gonna take it on the side and kind of feather in just the edges of the lip. And then to tie it all in together, you can apply a gloss. I'm using the Lunar Beauty one because I really like this formula in the color Coven, however you say it. Do you see how that kind of ties it in together and makes it look like that really pretty 90s nude lip? But it doesn't look like death because we have the brown around it to kind of ground it together. Let me take out my little hair clip. Oh yeah, I didn't crimp the hair. Look at that, it worked. Oh, and I almost forgot to show you how to set everything. Okay, so the last thing I like to do, you all, is mist it with like a hydrating toner. I use the Tatcha Luminous Dewy Skin Mist. I like the Peach and Lily one as well. So just grab a hydrating toner that has a good sprayer. We're gonna spray it just a little bit. So that way there's not any powdery look and it just adds a luminosity to the skin. So kind of fan that, let it sit for a few seconds, and then we're gonna lock it in with a setting spray. You remember that setting spray that I used earlier on the chest? Now I'm gonna put this on the face just because I have a long day ahead of me and I really want this to last throughout the whole day because it's now hot as hell in Houston. I'm gonna melt out there like Olaf in the heat.
This is the best day of my life.
So let me set this down. Fan that, baby, fan it. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Just a natural kind of day soft glam look that's just very pretty. The eyes are well blended. And then this eyeshadow technique works on every eye shape. It doesn't matter what you have, like hooded eyes, whatever. This is a universally flattering shape. That's why I do it so much, because it works on pretty much everyone. But that's the look. So what do you guys think? Give me feedback. Let me know if you like these tutorials. I'll do some more. Just list in the comments what you all want to see. So thanks so much for joining me on my channel. I'm grateful for every one of you that's here. Come back soon for another video and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.